All right. Welcome to high-level tech training with Extendly. Hope you guys are having an awesome week so far. My name is Joel Keddy on behalf of Extendly, and today we are going to talk about setting up your email services inside of high-level. And we're going to go over both Mailgun and LeadConnector, kind of what the differences between the two are, and then we'll actually walk through how to set up both of them. Looks like we got a couple people joining the call today. We got William, Alan, Nick, Heidi. Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon.
How's it going?
Hello. Yeah, call me Bill, please.
Bill?
Hello.
No worries.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, today we're going to talk about setting up Mailgun and LeadConnector for your email services. So what we're going to talk about today is the differences between the two. What is Mailgun? What is LeadConnector? How and where to set up both of them. And then I'm going to share with you the missing DNS record that nobody tells you about that you want to set up for getting good email deliverability. Mailgun doesn't tell you about it. LeadConnector doesn't tell you about it. high-level doesn't tell you about it. So we're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to give you guys one of my best practice tips for sending emails once you've got everything set up. All right, so let's jump in. I'm going to switch over to my demo account here. All right, so before we get into the technical setup of everything, if you've been around a while, you've probably heard about Mailgun. That's kind of the engine that high-level has preferred from the very beginning to run their email system in the back end. And a little bit more recently, it's been a little while now, but they've kind of developed their own version, which is called LeadConnector. And what LeadConnector essentially is, it's still Mailgun, but it's high-level's Mailgun account. And so the big advantage there for agency owners is simplicity of setting it up. You don't have to have your own Mailgun account like you do if you were using Mailgun directly. It all is set up right inside of high-level, so you don't have to go to another website, sign up for the service, and you don't have to pay for it separately either. If you go with Mailgun, you do actually have to pay a monthly fee, regardless of if you're even sending emails or not. So it starts at $35 a month, and I believe it's up to 50,000 emails. So it's good across your entire high-level account. So all your sub-accounts will utilize the same Mailgun account. You would be the one to set it up for your agency. But you do have to pay that $35 monthly fee. If you decide to use LeadConnector, the advantage there is, again, it's all done right inside high-level, so you don't have to go to another website to set it all up, and there is no monthly fee associated with it. So you're not paying that $35 a month, and it's completely usage-based. So obviously there's still costs involved, but it entirely depends on how many emails your agency account is actually sending out per month. So all your sub-accounts combined, there will be a charge for that. If you're on the SaaS Pro mode of high-level, obviously you're able to rebill that to your customers, and you can rebill it at a markup. If you're on the agency plan, the $297 a month plan, they have rolled out rebilling on that plan as well. It's got a very tiny markup just to recoup, transaction fees with Stripe, but you're not able to mark it up for a profit. So I think it's a 1.05x markup, but you are able to now rebill and basically pass the costs of text message and email onto your customers. So if you want to set up Mailgun for your email, you would go to mailgun.com, sign up for an account, and I'm just going to go through the process of what it is like to add a new domain. And let me just pull up a new tab here and see. Where did my window go? There we go. All right, I'm just logging into my domain registrar so I can see what domains I have to work with. You know what? I think what I can do is, I'm just going to use my own domain. So I've got a domain with my name, which is joelkeddy.com. So you can opt to use a root domain, meaning you don't need to put a subdomain in front of it. A lot of people, and I just saw somebody actually post this in the high level community a couple of days ago, saying you don't have to use mg.yourdomain.com. That's the example that they give in the box here. You do not have to use that. It's just an example to show you what a subdomain would look like. A lot of people use something like replies dot, or do not reply dot if you want it to be an email address that you don't want people replying to. If you are setting up a domain strictly for email, and I actually do this myself, you can use a root domain without a subdomain. In the example I'm going to use today, I'm going to use the subdomain of demo. So I'm going to go demo.joelkeddy.com. So the subdomain would just be the demo part. So whatever you put in front of your root domain. And I'm going to leave it on US region, shared IP. And for the advanced settings, you can leave it on the DKIM key length of 1024. That's fine. So you're going to click add domain. And then it's going to bring you to this page here where it's going to give you a bunch of different DNS records that you need to then take and copy over into your domain registrar. So GoDaddy, Namecheap, whoever you use to have your domain registered. And the keys to keep in mind when you're setting this up, this part can always get a little bit confusing for people when they're first setting this up if you're not used to it. So if you're using a subdomain for your email, everything that's under the host name, you're going to copy everything up to and including the subdomain piece. So in my case, I'm going to copy all the way up to demo. I'm not going to copy the joelkeddy.com. You're not going to copy whatever your domain is, okay? If you're using a subdomain. So it's a little confusing because this is the part that's bolded here. They did not bold the subdomain, but you do need that subdomain piece, okay? So when you're copying any of the hostname records, make sure you're including the subdomain. So in the next one here, this TXT record is demo. You're just going to copy demo. Same thing down here with the MX records. You're going to take demo for each of those. And then for this CNAME record, you're also going to take that email.demo. Okay, so always make sure you're including the subdomain and never the root domain. If you do choose to go with just a root domain and there is no subdomain, you're going to copy everything up to, but not including your domain. So it would just be the bolded part here. For this TXT record here and the MX records, you would just use the @ symbol because there is no subdomain involved. And then for the host name for the CNAME, you would just opt to use the word email, okay? The other records you could copy exactly as they are. They actually have a little copy button here. So you'd copy that, you'd paste it into your registrar. So you do that for all of those. The priority on the MX records, you're going to paste in the number 10. And that's it. So once you do that, you go ahead and get that all into your registrar. You click Verify DNS Settings. And it may not propagate all of it right away. You might have to try it a couple of times, but you'll start to see green check marks beside all the records. And once that's done, it'll take you off of this page and your domain is set up in Mailgun. So that's how you do it in Mailgun. But again, you do have to sign up for Mailgun. It's a separate service. You have to connect it into your high level, and you've got to pay a monthly fee. So high level made this a lot easier for agencies going forward. You don't have to sign up for Mailgun at all if you don't want to. If you want to, you absolutely can. You can now do all of this right inside high level. So where you're going to find that is two different places. There is a spot for your agency level where you can set up your email services. I'm just going to do it inside of this sub account for the example. So inside the sub account, I'm going to go to settings, I'm going to scroll down here to email services. And I've already got one set up in here, but let's pretend I don't. I'm going to then select, I want a dedicated domain. And we're going to add a new domain here. And I'm just going to say demo2.joelketty.com just for this example. And again, just like Mailgun, you can opt to use a subdomain or not. If you're using a root domain for your email, make sure it's a domain that you have purchased specifically just for this email stuff. You don't want to be mixing it up with your website by any means, just in case you do anything wrong with the domain. So if you're going to do a root domain, make sure that you've bought it for this purpose. Otherwise, you can use a subdomain. So put your domain in there. Then you scroll down a little bit. There's an add and verify button. So you click on that. And this is going to bring us over to, very similar to Mailgun, over to the DNS records that it wants you to place with your domain registrar. And same rules apply here because this is basically Mailgun. As you can see, some of the records actually say Mailgun in them. It is still using Mailgun. It's all done through HighLevel's Mailgun account. So it's the same rules apply. You're going to enter all these records into your domain registrar. For subdomains, you're going to copy everything up to and including the subdomain. So all of these up to the subdomain. And then if you're using a root domain, there is no subdomain. So these ones would just be at, the at symbol. This would just be email. And this would just be up to the end of the domain key there. Okay, and then the same for these ones. You'll copy this entire thing. And you can just click on the little copy icon here. You'll paste those in to your domain registrar, and then you'll verify the domain. If it doesn't work right away, and you know you've set it up correctly, just give it a couple of minutes, hit the verify button again, and it should go through and verify everything for you.
How can we create a subdomain?
So the subdomain, it's totally up to you. You would just create whatever subdomain you want. So in this example, I just used demo2.joelketty.com. That's a domain that I own. That's my name.
So I
And
have to.
you would just input it into the system, and then you'll take these records and place them in to your domain registrar.
In the dedicated domain, I have to put this.
Yes.
Okay. I can choose whatever subdomain I want, right?
Whatever subdomain you want. Yeah.
Okay.
So right here,
okay,
you'll just
sure.
put whatever subdomain, you can pick it, whatever you want it to be, and it will give you the records to then take over to wherever you have your domain registered to input those records.
And like we have to put the root domain first, and after that we have to put the subdomain, then .com, right?
Subdomain.yourdomain.com.
Okay, so your domain is Joel Keddy, your root
Yes.
domain, right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, sure.
Okay, so that's the basics of how to set it up. I did mention in my slide here that I'm going to give you guys the missing DNS record that is not talked about. I mean, it is talked about if you talk to the right people, but it's not included in any of the documentation. It's not shown. If we go back to dedicated domains, because it'll have my demo one here. You'll see it's not verified. So we can just click there to verify. You'll see it's showing you 2 text records, a CNAME, and 2 MX records. So the missing record here that you will want to place that is very highly recommended for good email deliverability is called the DMARC. Okay. I'm not going to pretend I am an expert on all things email, but you can Google DMARC to find out sort of what it means and what the different policies are. But essentially what it is DMARC is a type of test that email inboxes are going to throw at your emails when you send the emails. And if your emails do not have the proper settings set up, they're going to fail that test. And you actually, when you set up your records, can tell what you want to do if your email happens to fail. So there's 3 different types of policies, and it gets a bit technical. This is actually not the best site here. There's 3 different policies for DMARC. There's a policy called none, which means if it fails the DMARC record, you're telling it, I don't want you to do anything with this email. There's a reject, which means you're telling the inbox filter to reject the email if it doesn't pass DMARC. And then there's one called quarantine. And quarantine is one where you can basically tell it to send a certain percentage of those emails to the spam file. So I always use the DMARC policy quarantine, and I set a percentage of 1. And what that basically looks like, I should have put it on the slide, so I'll just add it in here. So the DMARC record, so it is a TXT record. Okay. The host name is going to be underscore DMARC. Oops. Underscore DMARC, and then the value that you would place is going to be V equals, let me grab this from one of my domains so I don't type it incorrectly here. Let me find one of my, I have so many domains that I need to find one that's actually being used for email. Okay, that one is not. Just bear with me one moment while I grab this for you guys. Okay, I think this one has email. There we go. Okay. So it's going to be V equals DMARC, all in all caps, the number 1, and then a semicolon. P equals, so that's you're telling it what policy you want to use. I use quarantine, so I do P equals quarantine, and then semicolon, and then PCT equals 1. So you're telling it what percentage of the emails you want to send to the spam folder if it does not pass the DMARC. So that's telling it I want to send 1% of the emails to spam. Now, over time, as you start warming up your emails and you know your deliverability is doing well, you can start to increase that percentage slowly up and up and up and up to a point where you can actually set your policy to a reject policy. Ultimately, that's the goal. You want to get it to a point where it's at reject, but you don't want to start with reject until you've been sending emails for quite a while. You can, again, just Google what the different DMARC policies are so you can read up on them a little bit, have a better understanding. And then there is a wonderful person in the high-level community and actually working with Extendly now, I believe, named Kristen Rushman. She is the Mailgun high-level email queen. So if you ever want anything to do with emails, she is like the go-to expert for the more in-depth, more strategy type stuff. So highly recommend getting in touch with her, following any trainings that she does. So that is that missing DNS record that is not in any of the documentation. You definitely want to make sure you're setting up your DMARC records. And the last thing I want to cover here is one of my best practice tips for sending the emails. So let's dive back in here. So when you are setting up, say, an email template, email templates, just open up one of these existing kind of blank templates. So if you're using the email templates inside of High Level, if you click on the three dots up here and go to settings, you'll see you can set your from name and your from email. Okay. You want your from email, any of your outgoing emails from your inbox, you want to have them match the domain you set up in either Mailgun or LeadConnector. A lot of people do, and even Sean Clark, I believe, at High Level talks about this. ActiveCampaign does it where they have their own domains. If you've ever received an email from a domain called Active Hosted, that is one of the many domains that ActiveCampaign uses. But the person who sent it to you probably said it was from, bob@abcplumbing.com, but it actually came from Active Hosted. So I don't like to do that because what can happen is you can cause some deliverability when the domain that it says it's sending from and the domain that it's actually sending from are not the same domain. So my recommendation is to always use the from email with a domain that matches the domain you set up with your DNS records. So in my case, I would want to say, joel@demo.joelkeddy.com. Because demo.joelkeddy.com is the domain that I set up in my email records. So make sure you're sending your from emails from the exact same domain. What you put before the @ doesn't matter. It can be a name, it can say hello, it can be support @ info @. That part doesn't matter. The key is what comes after the @ symbol and making sure that that domain matches. And that's going to give you a better deliverability. So you want to make sure that if you're using these email templates that you set your from email on the templates. And just another little hack that I like to use is to set up a custom value for my from email so that you don't have to keep pasting it everywhere. I don't know if, I actually see I even have one in here. So I've got my from email already. I've got a custom value for it. So you can come in here. You can change this. So again, let's go with joel@demo.joelkeddy.com and click update. And the best part about that is if you have a snapshot, for example, that maybe you've got that custom value already pasted in a bunch of email templates or in a bunch of workflows, and you, for some reason, maybe you need to, you accidentally had some bad sending behaviors and you need to change your domain, right? You're putting a new domain in, and now instead of having to go and track down every single email you've got that set up on, you can come into your custom value, change it here, and it will update everywhere that that custom value exists. So that's another little hack that you can use. And one other spot I want to just touch on really quickly, and then we'll have a couple minutes of Q&A. If you want me to redo anything or just clarify anything. So inside the workflows, if you're sending an email, so if you're sending one of the templates, it's gonna populate the email and the subject here from the template settings. So if you didn't set it there, you can set it here. If you're not using the templates, just make sure, again, same rules. I would go either joel@demo.joelkeddy.com, or if you're using the custom value hack, you can just go to custom values, grab your from email custom value, and that will pull in whatever value you've set there. So you can just put that custom value across all your emails, in all your templates, in all your workflows. And if it ever needs to change, you can change it in one spot and it will change it throughout the entire account. Okay, so that pretty much covers what I wanted to talk about today. We'll take a couple minutes if anybody has any questions, if you need any clarification on anything. I'm happy to answer anything you have.
I have a quick question. For those of us, meaning me, that am primarily a salesperson, and that's all I've ever done. Is there a way to have this part done to set up so I can, get moving? And I am a affiliate of Extendly.
Yeah.
So is there someone or somewhere I can go to, I certainly don't mind doing it, but what I do is I have two computers set up so I can, follow through.
Right.
But there's nothing that really takes you through, like, for lack of a better term, a kindergartner going through trying to set up something like this.
Yeah. And that's why Extendly is trying to put out a lot of this education, because High Level is a very robust platform with a very, very steep learning curve. I've been using it personally for 4 years, which is why they reached out to me to come and help do some of the coaching here. As far as having it done for you, Extendly does do an onboarding service that you can pay. They have a per client charge. So if you're bringing clients on with sub accounts, you can have them do the onboarding, and they'll actually set up the account, including email and everything for your clients.
Actually,
So that's one option.
I have a solution for that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Extendly offers like 24/7 support for the agencies also. So if you want to do it for your agency, you can just contact Extendly for that, and they'll set that up for you. Like, they'll help you in setting up with this thing. And if you
Yeah.
want to do it for your sub accounts, then you can pay them $99 for each client, and they'll do the onboarding, including the setup and all. They'll
Yeah.
do everything.
Yeah, that's right. So if you are an Extendly customer and you're using their white label support, you yourself as the agency get support access, and so they can help and guide you through setting that up. And then they have the onboarding service where if you're onboarding new clients, they can help out per client and doing the setup for you as well.
Okay, so how about the initial onboarding, so I'm trying to get set up, and I follow I know GHL does for $299. I think that they primarily do that, but I thought Extendly also did the same thing.
I believe that they do, and they'll help you out with it if you're a customer of their white label support. I don't know if they,
Right, and
off the top of my head, I don't know if they have a separate service for that.
So do you have, and I should have, and I can find this, but do you have a number for GHL support?
The phone number?
Yeah,
It's a link.
it's a link.
Yeah. If you click on
Yeah, and
the
I have
help
done,
button,
I have
there's a
done
phone
that,
number
but
right down at the bottom. 888-732-4197.
yeah.
Yeah, their chat support is probably the better way to go. Is to
Their
go through
what?
the live chat. If you go through their live chat,
Yeah.
rather than the calling. I've never called them, honestly, personally, in the 4 years.
Okay.
I go through the live chat, reach out in the community, the Extendly community, the High Level community. There's a lot of really helpful community members as well who are more than happy to help you out.
Okay. Hey, thank you.
Yeah, no
I have a
problem.
Quick question, just to clarify. You said
Yeah.
that the domain had to match the domain that you set the Mailgun up to. Does that mean it has to match the domain that you're sending from, like all your all that stuff is on also?
Yeah, I would set up whatever your domain is that you set up in Mailgun or LeadConnector. I'd make sure that you set your from email on all your emails to match the same domain.
And then have all the links go to that specific domain for that site.
The links don't have to.
Okay.
No. I do just depend on the use case. Like if you're just sending out an email and you're linking them to a website or a funnel or something, that domain does not have to match. Just the domain you're telling the email you're sending it from. Because you can say you're sending it from anything, right? You can put in any from email you want, but it's actually going to send from whatever you set up in your email services. And when it sees the conflict in those domains, I've actually seen warnings when I've received emails like that, where it says, this email address says that it's coming from here, but in actuality, it's coming from here. So just be careful. it's a very common practice. MailChimp does it, ActiveCampaign does it, all the sort of big email places do it. You can do it through high level. My personal best practice is I always do the from email at a domain. I always match to my email services domain.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I have a question.
Yeah, I think just hang on one second. I think Nick had his hand up as well.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
You said the real expert, the person to follow with the email strategies and whatnot was who?
Kristen Rushman, Krystin, and then last name is, I think it's Ruschman.
Ruschman and Kristen.
Krystin.
KRY.
Yeah, and I know she is working with Extendly in some capacity. I think she's come on board to be the actually kind of the email expert coach for them. I have personally had coaching with Kristen before she kind of became this big email guru back a couple of years ago. So a lot of what I know, I actually learned from Kristen, but I don't pretend to be the expert. I still, would rather direct people to her because she knows a heck of a lot more than I do.
Awesome. How do I get in touch with her?
I would just look her up in the high level group or in the Extendly community. Just trying to see. I know that Beyond was talking about Kristen coming on board and working with them.
William, I just want to let you know I sent you a message. I can help you with that.
Okay, yeah, on May 6th, Beyond posted in the group, got issues with email deliverability. We've got good news for you. Please help me welcome Kristen Rushman to our coaching team. So she is actually the email deliverability expert. So, some of those tips, like the from email, that's something I learned from Kristen. So she will be full of a whole lot more tips and advice and strategy and everything than I will. I know how the technical setup stuff works and some of the basic stuff when it comes to deliverability, but anything kind of more in depth beyond what I talked about today, Kristen is definitely the one you want to pay attention to. So I don't know what their plans are as far as for coaching, if she's going to be doing live calls or what that entails, but she has joined the Extendly team as the email deliverability coach.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
I'm going to jump
All right.
off. Thank you.
Thanks for hopping on, Nick. I got time for one more question.
Yeah, so actually I have a question.
Yeah.
So actually I had my domain purchased from godaddy.com and like I set up the DNS records for in the Cloudflare and the name servers also.
Okay.
Yeah, actually I didn't know about that like GoDaddy offers the name servers and the DNS hosting, right? Yeah, so I accidentally like switched to Cloudflare, and after that I was like very confused about the SSL certificate because like I had trouble in issuing the SSL certificate for my website.
Is the website through high level?
Yeah, the website is through high level, yeah.
Okay. The high level issues the SSL directly. You don't need to do anything.
Yeah, actually the thing was that like I was not able to figure out that how can I issue the SSL, but after that what happened like 3 hours ago it automatically got the SSL certificate, so I was not able to figure out that where it come from, so I just thought
Yeah,
that it comes from
it comes from high level.
Cloudflare.
Nope,
Okay.
comes from high level. Yeah, any domain
Yeah.
you connect to high level, you connect your domain to a funnel or a website in high level. High level is going to issue the SSL. It takes, sometimes it's instant, sometimes it takes a few minutes when you first connect to domains. So if you go to your domain and it's saying that it's not secure, just give it a little bit of time, refresh, and it should kick in.
Yeah, and in the GoDaddy.com, like there was an option where I could like issue the SSL certificate from there only. So should I do that or
no? If you're using high level, you don't need SSL from anywhere else. Don't buy them from your registrar. You're just going to cause more confusion that way. If you're
And
using
but
stuff through high level will issue the SSL.
yeah, but the thing is that the SSL was only valid till the 21 August, and after that, like it was just valid for 21st August, 2023.
Which SSL?
Uh, like uh, like the SSL which high level issue, it was only valid for valid till August 2023. That was the problem.
Okay, it probably renews itself then. I don't know. I've never seen any expiry dates, and I've had websites on high level for multiple years, and I've never lost an SSL. As long as you're connected to high level, your SSL should be in place.
Okay, then if
So-
my SSL expires, I can surely contact the high level support, right?
If for some reason it expires, yeah, I would reach out to high level support, but I
Okay, sure.
I don't believe that they do expire. It probably, if you've ever seen an expiry date and it came from high level, it probably just renews on its own.
Sure,
I've
Thank you,
never
thank you.
paid attention to anything. I just know that as soon as I connect a domain to high level and I go to my website, it just works. SSL automatically kicks in. So you're all covered there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you
All
so much.
right. Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on. I hope you found some value in this, learned something, even if it's one small little thing. I always like to share as much value as I can. If you have any questions after the fact about anything I covered, if you're watching the replay, feel free to comment below, tag me, ask a question, and I'm happy to come back and answer. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your week. I think there's more coaching coming up tomorrow and Friday as well from some of the other awesome Extendly coaches. And I will be back next Wednesday at the same time for another coaching session.
Thank you. That was
thank
really
you
great.
guys.
Thank you
And,
very
we'll
much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Want to learn Go High Level in a structured format? Check out the gohighlevel.com by Extendly. We guarantee to save you 6 months of wasted subscription costs for High Level. Just visit the gohighlevel.com.